and sit down. Shut up and sit down. Shut up and sit down.
Hello and good evening and welcome to another episode of Build, Paint, Play. I'm Dave.
And I'm Jake, and with us today we have
Alex.
Alex from Resnova Games.
Resnova Games. And we will have Bryan CP Steele, who will be here eventually at some point.
Yeah, he's over here.
Other side, yep, that side. So we will have Bryan in. I would love to have the technical skill and ability to splice him in seamlessly, but I don't, so we thought we'd go with the amusing black screen for the moment. But yes, just quickly, in the chat we've got Still Unsure, Happy Warzone Kickstarter Day. Alex has said that you've been super supportive in all of the live streams so far, so welcome. Josh is here. Yeah,
what's up, Josh?
We're building, painting, and we're going to play. It's a happy day. It's going platinum? Fantastic.
Maybe.
Super
we'll
happy
see.
about that. Chris is here. Hey, Chris. Two of my favorite friends and Bryan. Nice.
Did you read what Dan wrote?
Honestly, Bryan has never looked better. This is true. He's not wrong. If he wants to defend himself, he should get here a little bit earlier. That's all I'm saying.
Right.
Jeff Smith's here. Hello, Jeff. And Jim is here as well. It's still daylight this time. It is. We can tell. We can see right behind Alex there. Is that? Yep. I can't see the sun from my basement dungeon.
Oh, I deliberately have stuff in my window to keep the sun from going in.
Right. Nice. Fantastic. So yeah, just quickly, congratulations, Alex, on a fantastically well put together Kickstarter. Fantastic job.
We're
building it.
super excited about it. Yeah, I mean it's been nice to see this much work kind of come to fruition in a way that seems to be hitting the notes the right way.
Cool, awesome. I'm just going to occasionally keep flicking back and forth on my screen over here to see how things are going on it. We're super excited because I expect that at some point during the stream is when it'll fund. And at that point, Alex will cry.
Yeah, I will. Yes, don't have fireworks on me ready to go off in this small room that I'm sitting in, but I'll think of something else.
Awesome. But yep, yeah, still on shows 96% funded at the moment. Kickstarter is looking good, says Chris. And Jake, how many times a day do you have to tell people you're not the guy from Starship Troopers and Gary Busey isn't your real dad?
So usually it's just Scott that I have to tell that. I have to remind him. Jake Busey, fantastic actor.
Well, actor. Let's go with that. Jake Busey, actor. Fantastic actor. Okay. That's nice. So, just quickly, what we usually do at the start, Alex, is we have a quick run through what sort of hobby stuff we've been up to, what we've been building, painting, or playing over the last week. I'm going to start with Jake.
So we were at Gamma last week, so I didn't get to do a lot of hobbying, but I did get some new stuff.
Yep.
I got some new paints, and I got some new models. I picked up this giant, it's like a giant gorilla kind of guy from Titan Forge.
Okay.
He looks pretty cool. And then I also got the new, it's the new warband that's all the witch elves.
Okay.
So I got those, and I was pretty excited about that. And I just picked up a new Dante, but I'm gonna save him until 10th drops, and then I will crack him open.
Then you'll paint your Primaris Dante.
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah.
Excellent. This is another choice. So you've got Brian waiting to join when it funds. His cosplay suit on.
We paid a lot of money for that cosplay suit. He better have it on.
It's got to come in a big splash. So we're going to do it. Excellent. And Joe is here.
Nice. Yeah, Joe from Death Ray just jumped on.
Fantastic. Excellent. Hey, Joe. Greetings. Sean Gleason's here. Hey, Sean. Awesome. How about you, Alex? Have you had time to do anything in the past week, apart from preparing the Kickstarter?
No, I mean, I think all of the statements about, don't make your hobby become, a borderline profession, because it's, completely removes the hobby aspect of it. But yeah, no, it's been all Kickstarter prep. I have piles of miniatures down on my painting desk just waiting to be loved. So right. I think the second the Kickstarter kind of gets its legs under it and things calm down slightly, I've got Tom Mason's most recent Frog Knight Kickstarter.
Okay.
And so a bunch of little, swamp protecting armored guys that I'm going to sit down and paint. He ran a Kickstarter, I think, last year. So.
Are they armored guys riding frogs? Are they frogs riding frogs? Armored frogs?
They are armored frogs. So
okay.
They've got little tadpole men at arms, and then the croakers, which are the big bullfrogs with the great weapons.
Right.
And they're adorable, but they'll be a good Bordheim band or something.
Nice. That sounds cool. Excellent. I finally finished the iron hands that I had sitting up on the rack, and I've since replaced them with. Let's have a look. Some Napoleonic models.
Oh, okay.
So my gaming group, we're preparing for some games of Silver Bayonet coming up in July, I think. So I'm doing a French warband, but they're all models from the Perry's Retreat from Moscow range. So everybody's all kind of bedraggled and cold and miserable.
Yeah.
So
those are great. Perry's are still such a high bar for miniatures.
Oh yeah. The consistency and the variety is amazing.
I think most of my experience with them, Dave, didn't they do basically the entire Lord of the Rings range back in the day?
They, along with Brian Nelson and one or two others, they did a ton of the original Fellowship of the Ring range for sure.
Yeah.
Yep. But their historical stuff is great. It's a thing that they love doing a lot.
I know they get. I know they get a lot of love for their horses. People talk about how their horses are like a perfect scale and like they look right.
They are pretty good. Yeah. I don't like painting a lot of horses, so I only have, I don't know, 16, 20 maybe of their cavalry. But I also painted. I'm getting ready with to work on a Necromunda gang. They're going to be kind of. They're going to use the Enforcer stats, but there'll be a bodyguard unit for Lady Hera, the 13th daughter of Lord Helmore.
Yeah.
Helmore. So excited to finally get those built. I think I talked about them on the show last week.
Yeah.
And I got super psyched after the show, so I spent the next like 3 hours working on those.
I'm looking forward for the new Adeptus Arbites.
Oh yeah.
That one, like, because I didn't want to buy the whole kill team box. Like, I was like, I don't need all that other stuff. I just want
Yep.
I just want them. So like, once the Adeptus drop, I'm like, I'm totally, and they're gonna be super Judge Dredd looking. Like, I love those models. And there's the new Cyber Mastiff. The Cyber Mastiff looks great. So that's definitely all good stuff.
Yep. Yeah, definitely super cool. Stellan Shore is keeping us up to date on the stats of the Kickstarter as we're going, which is cool. John says French Napoleonics requires a viewing of The Duelist. Definitely, I would agree with that. Just quickly, John spoke to Ash Barker at Adepticon, and he's written a supplement for Silver Bayonet based in Canada. And it was like, oh, fantastic! My French covered in snow will be able to do double duty.
It's called Maple Bayonet. It's
Maple Bayonet. No, it's silver maple syrup. But the cool thing there as well is he said think Brotherhood of the Wolf.
Oh, nice! Yeah. Luke Garou, that movie is fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely awesome. Someone Shaw says, why don't people like painting horses? I'm painting dozens of them without trouble. I've also painted dozens of them without trouble. But I think it's one of those things where you're just painting twice as much or 3 times as much for one dude.
Maybe, but every time I run mounted armies, you end up painting a third less guys or 2/3 less guys.
I don't know. Not the way I paint my armies.
Cavalry's usually at least double the points of an infantryman.
That's true, but it still doesn't. I don't paint to points. I paint paint the collection.
Right.
So
yeah, they generally get removed from the table just as quickly as a single guy. So
that's true.
They can. Yeah,
so a lot. Yep,
they can
double the work for.
And depending on the system, if you have a system where if the horse gets killed, you can replace him with the dismounted rider. Then you're just painting like 4 times as much. It's crazy. James Bullen says, looks like if trends continue, they'll be successfully back by the end of the show. Yep, it sure does. We're excited about that. Joe's laughing. Hopefully at the jokes.
Hopefully it was the Maple Bayonet joke.
Fingers crossed. Scott says, I don't like painting horses for the same reason I don't like painting realistic skin. Because it's so easy to make it look wrong. Yeah. Josh says that in the Silver Bayonet Canada, the vampires will be very polite. Ooh, sorry. Going in the Canada jokes, we lost Gordon Lightfoot and we're in a very tender spot right now. Find your nearest Canadian, give them a hug and a beer. Will do. Our condolences, Scott. Yeah, oh, there we go. Unless you paint Lord of the Rings, doesn't need dismounts, for sure. Joe says, I love painting up my Norman cavalry, although it might have been enough horses for me. I can also appreciate that. It was the Maple Bayonet. And yes, Jim says, my Black Knights die almost as fast as my Skeleton Hordes. Yeah, I think they did the Black Knights wrong in the latest Soulblight Gravelords.
Yeah, I'm excited for them to get a big update when they release Old World.
Right. Yeah, I think that'll be the good time to do it. But yes.
Dun, 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 dun.
Wait! Ah! Look at that.
Hey,
While Brian arrives.
he made it. He's
Yeah.
alive. He's real.
I am real.
Fantastic. How you doing, Brian?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
We're doing well. We're doing well. We're just doing
Watching those-
we're just doing our hobby roundup. Did you get any hobby in this past week?
I did, but I put them away. Otherwise, I'd show you. I painted some BattleTech minis.
Oh,
I finished up a commission of steam forged models for a client, and while I was sitting there having nothing better to do, I primed up 3 big assault mechs for my Ghost Bear and slapped some paint on them, and they look muy bueno.
nice.
And then I primed a bunch of capital guys for Origins.
Excellent. When's Origins again?
July, late June, early July.
Late June?
June,
June?
June
Yeah,
20.
Origins is June.
Yeah, I think it's June 24th this year.
June 24th.
Somewhere around there.
Okay. Okay, fantastic. Sorry, and it's going to hit refresh again because there we go.
It's looking. We're getting there.
$749.
By the end of the show, we're gonna hit it.
I'd say by the end of the next sentence. Just make it a really long sentence.
Just a super long sentence.
But almost
Yeah,
there.
Brian, just to let you know, Jake has already made all sorts of promises for what you're going to do when we hit it. So
It's
What
fine.
am I?
It's all good. Don't worry about it.
What am I doing? What am I getting a tattoo?
No, you're gonna wear a Razid cosplay around Gen Con.
Be cool.
You were supposed to wear it on the show, but we didn't order it yet. So
Be awesome. Big purpley or red muscle suit. Great.
Fantastic. You can just prime over your Hulk muscle suit.
there you go.
Yeah, but that one's used for other things.
Okay. Moving right
Children's
along.
birthday parties and things. Come
Sure,
on.
I understand. I understand.
I don't know where you guys are going.
That's what I figured. Fantastic.
So have we looked at the actual like the numbers? We've got, man, looking good.
Yep.
The best part is as soon as Brian jumps on, Chris goes, Joe goes, "Hey Brian," and then Chris is like, "Oh, it's that guy," and then Danwood goes, "Ugh, unsubscribe."
Fair enough.
Fantastic.
Glad that I can be a source of entertainment for those wonderful few.
Oh. Oh.
Someone said, "Welcome, Brian. You survived the Skittles."
So during my 4-hour live stream today, I kept like I didn't have lunch. I was gonna take a break. And I was so busy talking and enjoying the collective. I never did, and I happened to have a bag of Skittles in my in the desk. So I looked at them. And I was like, "All right, guys, you guys are gonna have to suck it up. I'm chewing up Skittles on camera." And like 4 different times, I choked because I was too busy chewing and talking at the same time. And it became a joke. I was like, "This live stream is going to become a dead stream. You guys are going to watch me literally choke to death on camera."
You do have to pay extra for that. That's like on an OnlyFans or a.
Well, the worst part is that I would have my sign on the studio would have been up. It's like, "Do not disturb, don't come in." So Natalie could have heard me from the other room, be like, "What is that horrible sound?" And she'd be like, "Man, I don't know what they're talking about in there, but God." And then I would be a Skittle-laden corpse.
So somebody just said that there's a problem with the page. I'm gonna try to refresh it.
It's refreshing fine for me. So
yeah, same with me.
it might be a
looks okay.
glitch.
Yeah, it
of
looks
some
okay
kind.
on my end.
Sometimes that happens.
You know,
Sometimes
there is something wrong with it. It's not hit the goal yet.
No.
It looks like it's off by about $700. So
That's what they were talking about. The page is correct, but the something that's wrong with the page is that it hasn't quite hit there yet.
Go. Excellent.
So aside from seeing your comments on things all over the place, Alex, how are you doing today? Like, how are things?
It's good. I mean, I've effectively just locked myself in this room for the last 8.5 hours, trying to remind myself to do things like drink and eat something. But yeah, it's been good, and that's what we were saying beforehand. As compared to some of our previous experience with it, it's been pleasant, and the reaction has been good, and kind of carrying on with our Adepticon experience, right? It's been nice to see the response from people. So yeah.
Fantastic.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. The stream today was a lot of fun. They did a good job. The people who were on there did a good job of more or less keeping me to task. I didn't wander off the beaten track too many times. There were a few times where I was like, I've spent the last 10 minutes talking about something that has absolutely nothing to do with this game.
I find that hard to believe.
I know, shock and awe.
It's literally the scene from Super Troopers where they open the trailer.
Yeah, and that's the second time. Yeah, no, it was good. It was good. The TikTok live was very, because I had my TikTok live going at the same time, but because I don't have a decent phone mount to put it up by where the camera is, it was a lot of my TikTok live was like from like the belly to my chin because it's way down here. I had to keep looking down to see if anything happened. But there was one painter. Her name is Jeannie. Jeannie. Her handle is Jeannie Town. She does a lot of painting on TikTok, and I ran into her on a live a week ago, I think, and basically was like, I've got a bazillion points of Necrons, and as a fellow Necron player, you need to buy Warzone Eternal. And she's like, these two things don't go together. And I was like, I agree, but you're talking to me. That was the door opener. You are a fellow Necron player. Buy our stuff. And she did. She jumped on and she backed it and was like, I'm really looking forward to getting these models on the channel. So
yeah, you did a stellar job holding down the fort at launch there. So thank you very much.
It was fun. It's the kind of thing that Dave knows. I've never met a camera and a microphone I don't love. It's if I get a chance, it's what I do. Yeah. But I will say that next time I will have scheduled breaks instead of just bringing like 4 sodas with me.
Yeah.
I will schedule breaks to run and go have a sandwich or something instead of trying to aspirate Skittles along the way.
Right. Yep. So particularly if you've forgotten your stadium buddy.
Oh, we're like $620 away.
Awesome.
This is stadium buddy.
Someone pointed out earlier today that we had beat the first 24-hour mark in less than 3, like where we were at in the previous rendition, the previous attempt, we had beat the 24-hour mark in 3 hours today. Yeah, and that's fantastic. Even if it doesn't blow the doors off and give us $7 million, it's just the sheer fact that it's got the attention. It obviously has the people that. The people who were wishy-washy on it before, they've decided that we've done a good job, and we still have 29 and a half days left to go.
Yep. I think the big thing for me is I just want to make sure that we fund to a level where we can continue to do the stuff that we're doing and continue putting out more models and show that the amount of time that Alex has dedicated to this is 100%. Like there's other people that are psyched about that. Right. Yep. That's the main reason why you do this. I would love to take a shot at the BattleTech crown. I don't think that's going to happen, but maybe on the next Kickstarter, who knows? But no, it seems like everybody's really excited, and even looking at the comments today, everybody seems like they have their head in the right place. I mean, there's still confusion about stuff, like you talked about, shipping and whatnot, but I think our price point is on target. I think the number we're trying to get is 100% reasonable, and clearly so does everybody else. But yeah, as long as I would love to do a little extra so we can throw in some of the cool stuff that we've kind of been hiding. But we'll see what happens in the next couple of days. But yeah, I would love to be able to to go, yeah, we're gonna do all this other cool stuff that we also really dig, and we're hoping that you guys all dig as well. So,
Well, we all know what ends up happening as soon as you actually hit that you're going to get something funding goal. There's a bunch of people that have basically been sitting on their laurels waiting. I don't want to give any money until I know it's going to happen. And you hit that weird buzzer that the algorithm says, okay, now that I know you're going to make it, So we'll see. We'll see.
someone said throw one out for Trencher Dave. Yeah, there we go.
Trencher Dave.
Trencher
Dave has been next to me all day.
Trencher Dave is a legend.
Why don't you jump in there and say, Avakios Corrales is about to go to sleep, funded to 99%. Today is a good day. It is.
Good night, Abby.
Well. Southern Shore says, I need to stay up till it funds. Only then sleep may take me. Mark Maxey's here. Hey, Mark. Welcome. Rick is in the house. It says, waves and machine. Did you spell that right?
Speaking of Ricks,
I'll mention them wrong, but
multiple of them. I didn't get a chance to see the live game. How did that go? At the store, how did that stream go?
It was going great. I mean, I think Rick actually was there running it, so he might be able to chime in with some comments. But I mean, I was able to check it out for a bit before I jumped over here, and yeah, I mean, Rick Hall seemed to be holding it down. Whoever he got to play the game, they were enthused and engaged, and I mean, it's the thing, right? You spend all this time working on developing a game. It's nice to actually see the game be played by people. So yeah, it was great.
Excellent. Okay, Scott, this is your one movie reference. Scott says, is there a Thomas Jane miniature?
technically, if you're a good enough painter, Scott, every miniature can be a Thomas Jane miniature.
This is true. Excellent. So yeah, still so close. So what we're going to do, we could just sit here watching the numbers tick through, but we won't do that.
Let's
what I want to do,
show off some stuff.
while that's going to happen, we know that's going to happen. So I just want to throw back to Alex and say, Alex, talk to me about the last 12 months and things that you've gone through, things that you've done, and how you felt during that process. Then, hang on a second.
Remember, we're all friends here. This is a safe space.
It is a safe space, except for Scott. And then what we'll do as well is, I'm not sure if we can time it well. We'll do it after we fund. I say we. I'm not a part of this. After you fund, and we'll have a look at the cool pictures of the minis that you sent through, so we can talk through those. But we'll see how we go. But
awesome.
Last 12 months, how's it been?
Yeah, so for those who were not aware, we actually brought Warzone Eternal to Kickstarter at a little bit later in the year than this time last year. And yeah, that had been, the result of about a year and a half, 2 years of work. And we were at that time, right? We had a bunch of ideas for what the Kickstarter should look like. Since Warzone had been out and really huge in the 90s, right? There had been other iterations of it since, but really its peak point was in the late 90s, early 2000s. And since that time, right, the market has changed a lot, right? The space in there for another larger scale, platoon level, I guess you could say, miniatures game, right, it was questionable as to whether or not there was still significant market space for that. So I'd started putting together a skirmish rule set, brought Bryan on to take that kind of kernel and really build it out. And we had launched with this product that was supposed to reflect, right, the 5 major mega corporations, the primary big bad guy in the universe. And we were trying to do it in a way that allowed us to create these small modular kits, right, that out of one box you could build a bunch of different troop types that represented some of the iconic units of each of these factions. And while we funded in the first day, we saw a lot of the kind of constructive feedback that came in that said, well, we prefer more dynamic models, or the price point was being pushed by the fact that in some of these box sets we had nearly 50 pieces in there to build 5 models because we were giving you the full range of options, and so those drive up production costs. There's nothing you can do about that, and so the price points were not exactly where some people wanted them to be. So despite the fact that we funded, I broke Brian's heart a little bit, and I said, we're going to pull this Kickstarter down. We're going to cancel it.
It was a hard day. That was a hard day. Like all around, from not just getting the bad news, but realizing that it is a good idea. When Alex sent me the message, there was that part of me, that little spark of hope that wanted to be like, no, we keep fighting the good fight. Well, we're gonna tell somebody's gonna tell somebody, and it's gonna be a $50,000 spike. But reality hadn't set in, and I live somewhere between reality and where normal people are, and that's where Alex is.
Wait, I'm normal or I'm reality? Which one of those?
You're more rooted in reality. None of us are normal.
Okay.
Alex lives in a nice gated reality community, and Brian's lives in a houseboat that's floating down some chaos stream that's on fire.
Oh, I wish I had a houseboat.
Yeah, I remember talking to Alex right before that and being like, let's kind of kick the tires on this and be devil's advocate. And it was definitely hard. We went back and forth a couple times, and Alex had said, I think we should back out of it. And I was like, well, you funded, so there's a silver lining. But if you're not happy with it, and if we think we can do better, then yeah, I would rather that we pull out of it and kind of regroup and attack it again. And I think that made a huge difference. We got a lot of feedback at Adepticon from people who were like, I was really skeptical about you guys backing off from the Kickstarter, but now seeing everything, I'm really glad that you guys did, and I'm glad that you waited. So I think everybody's happier. I think Alex is happier with the end product. I think that Brian is happier. We had more time to work on things. Clearly the community is happier that they're getting more of what they wanted. I think the fan base is happier with the models. I think the models look absolutely rad. And the feedback's been really good. And apparently, while I was talking, we funded. So,
yep.
Let's.
Oh, and Jake takes the thunder.
I did it, guys. We did
it. just so you know, Alex. Well, you know Jake already, so you know that.
Yeah.
Like Brian, that you and I could just sit here for a little while.
To be fair, I was just reading the comments, and 4 people were like, funded. And apparently, Brian is free range.
I'm what?
You're
free range. You're outside of the gated reality.
Yeah.
Oh.
You get to wander
free range, Brian. That's dangerous. That's dangerous.
So, Alex, I'm not sure if you've got some posting you need to do right now.
No, we're good.
Okay,
we can sit on that for a little bit. It's all right. But yeah, no. I mean, to pick up the thread there, right? So Brian understood ultimately. I had to make the case. I mean, it took me a while to get to a point where I felt like this was the right decision as well. And so we went away for 2 weeks, and we shut the Facebook page down because we're not going to engage. We literally need to have a refresh, right? A clean wipe of the experience that we've had for the last 2 years, and we need to come back at it anew. And we did, and we kind of shot ourselves out of the rocket, looking at how to revamp it. And the rules went back to playtesting further, right? Even though the rules are probably 95% where they were last year, a whole nother year of opportunity to continue to tweak things has only made the game tighter.
Yeah.
We went through the entire model range, and every single model was modified or updated in some form, right? Some of them might have been, we're actually going to take the models we had before, we're going to create more interesting dynamic poses out of them, and create a set of figures like that. Other models that we just ultimately, when we looked at them, decided we're not happy. And so for several factions, we went back and resculpted the entire range of models.
Should we?
So we have a.
I was going to say, should we take this opportunity then to start having a look through at some of the models? Okay, cool. Just to let everybody know, Alex sent me through a whole bunch of stuff. So I think we've got models from every faction.
I think so. Yeah, I think it was all 7 of ours.
We've got some digital renders, and we've got some painted photos as well. Oh my goodness! Yep. What you doing?
I was just showing off a Resi.
Oh no, I was talking to Jake. It was Jake doing.
Yeah, because he was too close to Brian's camera, so he was all
Right,
blurry.
okay.
He was in stealth mode.
Oh, right on.
I think I was a little bit worried there that I was too close to the microphone.
So we had some really good comments. Joe said, I think it just shows extremely good judgment to step back, adjust, and retool it, despite what that entailed. It's a really good sign that the property is in the correct hands. So, Joe, thank you so much. Again, this is all Alex. Alex is kind of like the driving force and the animus behind this whole thing. He's the one that had to go and get the license, and he's spent long hours down in his Keebler Elf basement, quietly tooling the new edition together, and bringing on Bryan to help out. I think was a really good move. He's down there just cobbling together Warzone models. So that's great. And then Scott had a really great comment, which he goes, reality, 10 minutes ago, Dave needed clarification for, do you guys mean regular guys riding horses or armored frogs, or armored guys riding regular frogs? He goes, and for us, that's a valid question. That's reality.
Yep.
And then Kai said, I have so much respect for realizing a failure or potential failure and then taking another crack at it. Most people would have just given up. So again, this is all Alex. Alex is the reason why this is happening. So
Excellent.
Thank you, Jake. I appreciate that.
Dude, again, I'm not giving a compliment. That's a fact. That's just the reality.
And Sullivan Shaw also said, Bryan is the sparkly unicorn of hopes and dreams we all love so much.
Yeah.
Let it go.
And then Chris said, Bryan, even Dan backed, it's a miracle.
Whoa.
Nice.
Be still my heart. I love it.
All right, let's take a look at some stuff. Let's show everybody some cool stuff.
Awesome. Okay, yep. Sweeping over I think first up we've got the Algaroth. So it should be, there's a slight delay. The folks watching on their screens. Yep. But yeah, we've got the Algaroth there first.
So that's the Algaroth starter set, and so I think that this is a really good example of the kind of work that we did. So in that set, it includes 4 Undead Legionnaires, and those models were done by Chad Hoverter. And from the beginning, right, they were awesome. We loved them last year, and so those models are untouched. They are as Chad finished them for us last year. It also includes, 4 Necromutants, and those were done by Bobby Jackson. And so those become a middle ground, right? Because with those ones, we recognize that overall we liked a lot of the details on there, but there were some face details that people weren't loving. When painting, we recognized that these are not coming out well. They're not easy to paint. So Bobby went back and resculpted the faces on every one of the models, added some more details for the flamethrower guy, and then the last one, the Centurion, which is the guy in the middle, pointing his pistol and holding the large machete-looking sword. That model was completely sculpted from scratch. So, instead of taking the Centurion that we had last year and trying to update it, we just went back and said, Bobby, this is the revised concept art. Go back and produce this model. And so this becomes a starter set that represents kind of all 3 of our approaches to taking last year's models and updating them.
Cool. Awesome. The next picture here I've got here is some of those painted. I can't remember who painted the Algaroth models.
This would have been Mike Cousins. So Epic Duck Studios.
Cool.
Yeah, so he's done a bunch of painting for us. He streams all day long, every day,
right.
Painting. So yeah, it's great, right? If you just want to kind of pop in and watch a dude in the middle of his process, it's he's there all the time.
Yeah, definitely good. He's another Canadian there, Scott. So you can go and check him out. But Epic Duck Studios, he streams on Twitch. That's right.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Yep.
Yeah.
And you can find him on Facebook as well and Instagram, I think. But yeah, Mike's a great guy. Definitely very cool.
Yep.
Yeah, and I love the paintwork on these. That scarlet red. It's just that perfect tone against the green skin and the that deep blue. But looking fantastic. They look great.
It's one of the most dangerous pistols in the game too, right there.
Yeah.
Excellent.
It is the Vorish handgun is a small cannon.
Awesome. Next up, I'm trying to remember the faction names. I think these are Bauhaus.
This is Bauhaus. Yep,
Yep,
exactly
okay.
right.
Cool.
So Bauhaus then becomes an example of just taking the faction and tossing the old sculpts out completely and starting over. So the Venusian Rangers and Blitzers were the two units that we had available out of the, kind of the modular build, 2 units out of a box set approach last year. So that meant we had to take kind of shortcuts in places, right? The Venusian Rangers and so many of their pieces of art have always had these hooded cloaks on. When you're making a modular model that makes a model that has a cloak or doesn't have a cloak, you generally have to decide to leave the cloak off, right? It's too hard of a piece to make, plug in or out. But by going back and treating these as 2 completely separate units and sculpting them from scratch, we brought on a new sculptor, Daniel Early from Draco Forge Studios.
Yeah, it's Draco Forge.
And he saw the concept, understood exactly what we were looking for, and knocked these guys out. And so the Venusian Rangers in particular, they're exactly what we wanted them to be. There's no question that when you look at one of these guys and then compare it to the Paul Bonner artwork, it's absolutely clear, right? This is who this guy is. This isn't a generic sci-fi trooper, right? This is a Warzone model, and that's really what we were trying to make sure that we expressed.
Excellent.
I will say that was a fun experience too. Like working with a sculptor that we didn't have any experience with and weren't really sure what to expect, and then having a lot of back and forth. Like the first models came through and it was a lot of like, oh, this is not what we wanted, and then gave feedback, and then you could see it kind of like it was like chipping a figure out of ice, right? Like each time we gave more feedback, it got closer and closer, and like he did a lot of great work with the on the cloaks themselves. There's little like flaps. You can kind of see it on like the guy on the far left who has his hand up, like he's holding up the squad. The bottom of his cape, that little piece hanging off the bottom of the cape, there are straps, and the idea was that if you rolled up the cloak, they could use them to fasten the cloak on their backpack, and that would so it's pretty realistic. Like he did a great job with them, and to Alex's point, the Venusian Ranger is my favorite model. Like they're my favorite thing. I love the art, and I think he nailed it. It's exactly what we wanted. The armor looks more realistic, and
they're truly iconic. Like they when anybody who knows anything about Mutant Chronicles, you've seen those skull-faced Rangers. You've seen them. You know what they've been on the cover of many things. Everybody knows the guy on a horse. Like that iconic armor, that mask. There was a conversation during the live where somebody was like, there's some art that shows the Rangers in camo armor. You didn't have to go with the white, but we had to go with the white. I myself might paint mine camouflaged.
Yeah.
But for the ones that are going to be shown off to everybody, no, everybody knows that gray white gorgeous Venusian Ranger armor.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, I'll do a deep cut here. The model or the illustration that he's referencing that shows a Venusian Ranger in camouflage is actually a Bauhaus Blitzer from the point in the lore where every Bauhaus Special Forces trooper wore a skull mask. And they then, obviously, through Warzone First Edition, Second Edition, they moved away from that. The skull masks became just the Venusian Rangers. But
the original,
absolutely paint your Rangers in camouflage if you want to, but yeah, that's technically a Blitzer.
So we've got the Venusian Rangers up, the painted versions up on here. Did Mike paint these as well, or
no?
These were painted.
There's I think there's a member of our live chat who painted these. He's on here, right, Brian?
This is, Chris, are these? I don't have the images in front of me.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Here I am. I'm trying to give a subtle shout out to somebody.
It was Chris. Chris Kemick. Yeah, Chris says, "I know those models." Fantastic.
Chris just comments that I know those models. So yeah.
Excellent.
They look awfully familiar.
They look great. Nice work. Nice work there, Chris.
Oh, and I guess the other thing too, just to jump. So one of the other things we did is besides resculpting all the two core units for each faction, we also added a third unit for every faction. So for instance, with Bauhaus, they got the Étoiles Mortants, which are these close combat troopers, partially mystically trained. So in addition to the Rangers and the Blitzers, so the model on the left there is one of the Étoiles. And so so every faction got a third unit as well during this last 12 months.
Cool. Excellent. Just quickly, does somebody have their Facebook, YouTube open and not muted?
I don't have my YouTube open.
Mine is muted.
Okay.
Mine's muted.
Cool. Excellent. I thought I was hearing something there. It might have been.
I was hearing it too. I think it's somebody's speakers is picking up all of us.
Oh, okay. We're getting a bit of a loop. No worries. Okay, we'll push on. Next up, I think we've got. I think this is the Brotherhood. Is that correct? We've got some fantastic models with the masks and the. I don't know the fins. What are they called?
Yeah, the kind of.
Oh, it's the Brotherhood. It's the Brotherhood.
Yep.
Okay, go.
Sort of squid-headed helmets. Yeah.
Yep.
I believe the term is Baroque Gothic.
Sure. Yeah, I like both. Baroque Gothic squids.
Is near Batman.
Right. Fantastic.
So the Brotherhood was not in the Kickstarter last year at all. And obviously there were people who missed them, and we missed them. But there was just a kind of a finite amount of preparation time before that Kickstarter. So giving ourselves a year to rework it allowed us to go in and add a 7th faction to the Kickstarter.
Yep. Awesome. They look great. They look very cool.
Man.
I'm going to transition to the painted photo. And the Baroque Gothic squid heads look even better painted.
And so these were Rich Erickson.
Oh, Rich Erickson painted these? Cool. Who sculpted these?
This is Matt Gubser.
Matt Gubser. Okay, cool. Awesome. Very cool. And big fan of Rich's painting too. Rich has done a nice job on those.
Those guys are so great.
Excellent. Next up, I'm going to be stumped. What's the faction that starts with C?
Cybertronic?
No, the one
Capital.
Pardon?
Capital.
It could be Capital.
I think we've got Capital next. You have to forgive me, everybody. I did not grow up with Warzone. I was in Australia. I grew up with kangaroos.
It's a different game.
So this is Capital.
Yeah.
And actually, David, it looks like you might be the one picking up the loop. I'm noticing.
Is that me? It could be.
Yep.
Okay.
So this is Capital, which is the kind of North American, or specifically 1980s action figure or action hero, U.S. Special Forces faction. And this is the other one that we went back to the drawing board and resculpted from scratch because we simply weren't happy with the models from last year. So this is the Free Marines, which are kind of your Dirty Dozen court-martialed soldiers who are sent on daring, death-defying missions. The Sunset Strikers, which are a regiment posted on Mercury, which is dominated by Mishima, and thus they've taken on many of the customs of the Mishiman soldiers. And then the Martian Banshees, which are these daredevil jetpack troops that are kind of used as first wave assault troops.
Cool. Excellent. Here we are, excited about how they're going to play in the game, Brian.
I am a massive. When I played originally, I was big into Dark Legion. It was all monsters all the time.
Right.
I have all the apostles covered. That's. I dabbled into some of the weird factions, but 90% of the time I was all Dark Legion. When we started this process, a couple of years ago, I was like, I'm not gonna fall into that trap again. I'm gonna play people, and not only am I gonna play people, I'm gonna play Americans, and so I got it in my head that I am gonna do a capital force, and what sold me is the first time that I did a playtest game where I fielded a ton of Martian Banshees.
Right.
I adore those little loony armored jumping guys, and I actually said in my live stream today, watching season 3 Mandalorian only made me love them more, because with the exception of a couple of stupid plot points where they were treating jetpacks like planes, those little combat jumps, those little leaps that are just like little 5 feet, 6 feet at a time, yep. That's exactly what I picture when I think when Martian Banshees are like in the thick of it. They do. Do they leap or do they fly for 70 miles? No, that would be super fuel inefficient. But like in combat, yeah, do a little 30-40 jump, land with your heavy armor on somebody, and knock them to the ground, and then light them up with your submachine gun.
Right.
That's what I'm talking about. And
awesome.
there are probably more models, ignoring the tiger dragons. There are more models in Capital that I think need a solid, awesome resculpt to make them look realistically unrealistic. I'm coining that phrase. It gives us that old aesthetic. You look at these guys, and no, someone is not going to march off to war with shoulder pads. That's not really what's going to happen. But it looks cool, and it's the aesthetic that we want.
Yep.
So I call it realistically unrealistic, and there are a bunch of Capital models that need to have a new coat of paint, so to speak.
It's a shame that you should use that terminology there, because we don't actually have a painted picture of Capital models.
And I just primed mine. Like I've had these things for months, and they've been sitting there not staring at me, all bare resin, going, paint me,
paint us, Brian.
Paint me. Yeah,
excellent. So next up, then we've got Cybertronic.
Yep.
Fantastic.
So, yep. So Cybertronic is an example of a set that we were able to take the models that we had last year, and then really figure out ways to distinguish them a bit more, right? So we use the same core models because we really like the detail that we got out of the Cybertronic figures last year. We knew we wanted the Mirror Men to look more agile, more graceful compared to the Chauciers. So this actually, Rich Erickson, so not only did he do some painting for us, he did some of our sculpting work. So he went in and he took the base Cybertronic models and redefined the body so that the Mirror Men ended up with these kind of like longer, thinner legs. I mean, they almost have like cyborg sprinter looking legs, right?
Okay.
They're lean and they're tight. And then modified shoulder pads so that we got some of the kind of iconic designs from the old artwork. And then the Attila in the background, the big robot looking guy.
Yep.
That was actually one of the first models that we worked on after the last Kickstarter. And it was a model that we were thinking about possibly trying to get done in time to include in the last Kickstarter. And when we decided to cancel and to reboot things, he became kind of a foundational piece for that resculpting work.
Right.
So the Attila there, that's just one of the variants. We have a couple different weapon options available for that guy if we can get to that point.
Cool. Excellent. And I think Nicholas D has just asked, armed with? Question mark?
The one that comes in the starter faction is armed with the regular AR 3000, the regular assault rifle 3000.
Right.
Yep.
Nice.
Then he holds like a pistol.
Nicholas, the other weapon options, we're just gonna have to see if the campaign gets there.
Right. Nice. So keep your eyes open for that. I know you will. And did Rich also paint the?
Yep.
Excellent. That must be fun, like painting models that you've sculpted. That's
that's
gonna be great.
I think he told me that these were I don't want to misquote him, but I believe he said that these were the first models that he had painted that he had also sculpted.
Okay.
So
he said that at Adepticon.
Yep.
Yeah. So that was cool, right? So Rich and I have been talking for with the preceding 10 months. And then he showed up at Adepticon. He had been sculpting for us. He had the Cybertronic models in hand. So that was another really cool thing about the convention, right? Is there was a number of people who I'd only been talking to remotely who actually got to see. And so the culmination of this multi-headed Hydra that's been working on this thing kind of all presented itself. And that was cool.
Excellent.
Hail Hydra.
Rich just jumped on. He's like, my 5 minutes of fame.
Woohoo! Soak it up, Rich. Soak it up. No. Awesome. Yeah, fantastic sculpts and great painting too, Rich. Nice work.
These guys are rad.
Welcome to the show. That's great. And then next up, I went through and I tried to memorize the names of all of the factions and beforehand, but and this one,
it's either Mishima or Imperial. I think is what's left.
It's Imperial.
This is Imperial.
The Imperial.
It's in alphabetical order. So, but I was going to say that the as I said, I didn't grow up with Warzone, but the trenches is an aesthetic that really, from when I first saw it, has really stuck with me the entire time. Trencher Dave. Fantastic. This day? No. Okay. But
we don't know.
Yep.
Maybe you could have been the one behind the mask. Who knows?
Yeah.
Possibly.
In another world.
Yep. Or this one. Who knows? Anyway, the Imperial forces.
Yeah. So with Imperial, this is one where the Blood Beret, the original Blood Beret, was the very first model that we sculpted, and that was with our very first sculpting partner. And so that had kind of created a base design that we wanted to kind of use to represent. This is how we're gonna update, right, these older models. And so we ended up keeping almost the same design through the last Kickstarter through here for our base Imperial models. But we did certain things that people had requested last year, which was, boy, Golden Lions and Blood Berets have different shaped shoulder pads. Can we please get different shaped shoulder pads? So, okay, let's go back and while we're reposing these guys, let's make sure the shoulder pads are shaped different. And then it also again gave us the opportunity to add a third unit. In this case, it was the trenchers. Right. So there's a trio of trenchers added to the starter set, and if we can get to the trencher unit box, then we'll have even more.
Awesome. Yep.
I hope they are awesome.
They really it's that for everything I know about Warzone, that the aesthetic that's very much that World War I grim. I'm not going to say raining all the time, but I'm also going to say raining all the time. Kind of. It's nothing's pleasant. There's no moments of levity really. Everything's super grim, right?
Yep.
And for me, those trenches just really embody that.
I like to imagine that there's a unit out there that's led by Blackadder. So.
Oh, so there might be a moment of levity.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay. Fantastic. I'll have to track him down. I'll have to fade him up. But fantastic. Just quickly, because of Ben said, will there be other faction unit boxes?
Yeah. So if the Kickstarter does well, I mean, obviously the whole point of running a Kickstarter is to raise the capital to allow us to cover the production costs. But the intention would be that every unit that is in one of our 7 starters has a dedicated unit box as well. And those unit boxes will have the same models that are in the starter sets, but then also a number of additional models that have, so additional poses, or, if there wasn't a model that has like a support weapon in the starter box, then the support weapon version of that model shows up in the unit box.
The leader ultimately. The leader option for that type of unit. So if you really want to focus your force a little more away from one style, like I want to fill my Bauhaus force with a Toil Mortant everywhere, then there'll be a leader option in that box if it wasn't already in the faction starter, that kind of thing. Like it's a way for you. It's all about getting more options for you to build your force in different ways on the table. Potentially modifying it, for the scenarios and stuff.
Yeah, so people could choose to get into the game with a starter set, or pick models from the different unit boxes that specifically appeal to them.
Cool. Excellent. And then finally, miniature-wise, I think we've got the Mishima faction box.
Yep. So yeah, this is the Mishima faction box, which includes Hatamoto, which are the bodyguards of the highest ranking samurai lords in the Mishima faction. The Shinobi, which are Mishima soldiers that have some slight art ability or key ability, and it allows them to kind of. You guys all hear my dog in the background?
Yeah,
We can, but I just thought maybe it was my dog.
Yeah, we've got a 7-month-old puppy. Yeah, we have a 7-month-old puppy who is not respecting the show here right now. So I apologize.
That's okay.
So the Shinobi, which are key tuned soldiers, so they have the ability to do kind of like short teleportation across the field, and then the Shadow Walkers, which are the ninja assassins of the Mishima force. And so the Shadow Walkers are the third unit that we added to the faction during this Kickstarter, and then the other two, it's a similar thing to what we did with Imperial. We had sculpts last year that we really liked, but again, they had the same shoulder pad, and people were like, well, they should have different shoulder pads, and the Hatamoto should have very specifically shaped shoulder pads. So we went back to the sculptor and said, hey, here's the artwork. This is what a Hatamoto's shoulder pad looks like in the classic artwork. Can we get these on these guys? And then the Shinobi ended up with the shoulder pad design that we had last year. So it's Warzone, right? So there's a lot of concern about shoulder pads.
As I say, shoulder pads and helmets seem like a very super important range of things, but it's the thing that creates the silhouette, right? Yep. So that's what you're looking for in an iconic miniature, is that being able to recognize that silhouette from a distance, and
yep.
So yeah. I can see it definitely being important, and it's great that you've paid attention to that and gone back and looked at those things.
Well, I mean that's really what this year was, right? Was an opportunity to step back and just say, like, how do we improve these things? How do we change them to be responsive both to more what we want, but also what we heard from other people.
Yep. On that note, just quickly going to throw to a question in the chat there from Kai. Last Kickstarter was cancelled despite hitting the financial goal. Is there an actual financial goal you're looking for that, if not reached, will mean this project cancels too? And
$1 million.
No.
Yeah, exactly. So Kai, Kai and I have talked before, and so to a certain extent, there was a financial component to it, but there was also this recognition that we could do a better job.
Yeah.
And I think when we canceled it last year, we put out a letter, or I drafted a letter that very clearly stated the number of things. And I think there's been thoughts that like any one particular one of those was the reason. But the reality was it was a culmination of these reasons. So no, there isn't a funding goal, kind of an unstated funding goal that if we don't hit, we're going to cancel. We hit our funding goal. This funding goal was $20,000 more than last year's. So this represents an amount of money to allow us to produce, these 7 starters. After that, the additional models, that's where that additional funding comes into play.
Yep. I think based on the comments that you made earlier, sorry, I'm just going to switch to here. So we've got all of us. Running Kickstarters is a really tough thing. It's a crazy juggling act, and it's not just about the funding. It's about monitoring enthusiasm. It's monitoring connection, and it's monitoring ideas that are generated or ideas that are discussed, and how things can run through. I had a project that I ran through Kickstarter February last year for the tremendous tome of decorating dungeons, where I had a book that was going to, of course it was a book because it was me doing it, so it was going to be a book, and it was going to be all about how to take existing pieces like stuff from WizKids Warlock tiles or Dwarven Forge tiles or Mantic terrain crate stuff, and paint it up the way that you want to. So it was a book about painting and terrain building and that kind of thing. We were going to fund, but the response from the community was more, this isn't what we're looking for right now. We're looking for a coffee table book with a whole bunch of really cool, exciting builds. So I was like, okay, well, let me close this project. Let's step back from it and work on how we can best go about gathering some fantastic builds from around the world to present in a book that then when we came back to Kickstarter in October, funded well, was well received, and it was the product that people were looking for. So it's got to be a very significant part of any project like that. So
I think the big thing is the balancing act, right? So there's this stuff that we all envision, and yeah, like if money was no object, there's a zillion units and a zillion things that we would do. Like Brian and I laughed at length about the shark. The shark bomber, that like the original model and the original drawing is not great, and like that's one of the ones that I was like, that'd be really cool to do, but that's also much further down the line because it's not a key component of making a infantry first small scale skirmish game. Now, would we have those in the game? Sure, 100%, but like we don't need them to start. So I think that the number that we landed on and the number that Alex kind of settled into is that's enough for us to make all the stuff that we've shown off. Make sure that everybody who wants to can get any one of the 7 factions and their rulebook and play some games with some cool models and some new rules. Yep. Now, every single amount that we make over this, that's when we start to go, okay, so we hit this funding goal, we're going to add one of the units. Okay, cool. Every single faction gets a brand new unit. And then, when you hit the next one, we're going to...
Not a brand new unit.
A new box that is a fleshed out version of one of the 3 units that are in the faction.
Folks, that's what we call hyperbole.
Yeah, Jake confirmed it's already in the intro.
But like so it unlocks a new box, right? So the new box will be like, and I don't know the order we figured out, but let's say that I'm somebody who's like, I want to build an army that's all trenchers. So technically I could do that, but I'd have to buy a bunch of starters and swap with people and get all the trenchers. Whereas once we unlock the trenchers box, now we're speaking my language. I'm just gonna buy a box of trenchers and I'm gonna go like super ham and have like Trencher Dave and all of his buddies. So I think that there's a lot of really cool things that we can do. But again, the reason why you have stretch goals is that theoretically, like as long as we keep unlocking more stuff, that's more stuff that is now we have the infrastructure to do and roll out. So.
Cool thing. Okay, the next photo I have is of the basically the special miniature that's available for folks who back in the first 72 hours.
Yeah, so this is actually the first thing that Rich did for us. So we sculpted the. So this is a Brotherhood Archangel pilot. And so the idea that we had was, well, let's make him so that he looks like he's just crawled out of a wreck, right? So he's holding his arm, it's all bandaged up. And the idea is that when you've got escort or rescue or assassination missions in these games, you could have a little token on the board that represents that objective, but it's far cooler to have some Brotherhood wounded pilot scrambling across the battlefield that you're trying to rescue or Dark Legion do something else. And so this model is available for all of our backers at the skirmish level, which is the 2 starter sets and the rule book, I believe, is the reward level for the first 72 hours. And then as a thank you to those people who showed their faith in us last year, if you were a skirmish level or above backer from last year, you also get this for free regardless of whether you fall within that 72-hour window.
As long as you back the new.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
It's not just like automatically going out to the old list.
That's good clarification. Thank you.
Yeah. Cool. Excellent. So the next thing I'm going to move on to is there's a piece of artwork here. It's the Venusian Ranger, I think, with that wonderful white armor.
Yeah, so Dan Morrison was one of the first artists that we reached out to. I had seen his stuff for a long time. He's done a bunch of concept work for a number of companies. Did a lot of artwork. There's an RPG. I think it's Lancer. I think is the RPG he's done a bunch of work for. But he's got this really really cool style, kind of Hellboy esque. And we just felt that it really fit well with the kind of the black and white artwork that was in the old Mutant Chronicles and Warzone books. Paul Bonner has always been the creator of the most iconic imagery, right? The full color character sketches, the covers that were on all of the old role playing games and Warzone rule books. But most of the artwork that was produced for Warzone Mutant Chronicles was black and white. It was interior stuff. And so the desire was to try to replicate some of that style as well to represent the fact that, again, Warzone Mutant Chronicles had this rich art history that it kind of spanned a bunch of different styles. So Dan did, I think he did a picture for all 5 of the factions, the Brotherhood, and a collection of all 5 of the Dark Apostles for Dark Legion.
Cool.
And so his stuff will. I don't know if we've shown all of those pieces yet, but those will all be in the rule book.
The Apostle piece is on the Kickstarter on the page.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. And the next image over here is of a Luna City.
Yep.
That you sent through.
Yeah. So you'd asked for are there any environmental picks? And so another one of our artists, Anwar Hanano, did this piece. And what we really wanted to, so many of the pieces of art that you've seen for Warzone, right, are these war-torn battlefields or the jungles of Venus or the torn-up trenches that the trenchers are fighting in. But if you read the fiction, right, a lot of the battles that happen, and especially when we're playing when we're creating a skirmish game, a lot of the battles would happen in places like Luna City, right, where every faction has some sort of enclave there. And they're all trying to disrupt each other, both militarily, but also, business espionage. So, troops like the Imperial Golden Lions, they spend as much time fighting other corporations as they do, defending Imperial territory or, resisting the Dark Legion. So we wanted this picture of the enormity that is Luna City with these kind of giant Art Deco buildings that are rising well above the tenements that so many of the corporate workers end up residing in. And so again, we were really trying to push what is the aesthetic for this world. And it's not just again these cool environments like the table you put together for Adepticon, right? We really want to show that that a game of Warzone Eternal could just as well be happening in kind of the dark alleyways of Luna.
Right. Fantastic. Yeah. There's something. I think the reason I asked you about it, just switching back to all 4 of us, the reason I asked you about that is when Brian and I worked on Dark Age 7 years ago. My goodness, it's that long ago. There was very little environmental art. There was a lot of character art, a lot of it obviously been inspired by Brom and Brom's art. But what I found with a lot of gamers is that it led to them not being, perhaps confusion might be the wrong word, but a little bit of a lack of care, really, about environments that were being played in. What does a table look like? I don't know. We've never seen what a table looks like on Adder. It's what's going on. So I think I always think that environmental stuff is as important as artwork of the soldiers that are fighting or the characters that are going to lead them. So that it's great to see that you've got that. You're thinking that sort of stuff. You're showing what the buildings look like. You can imagine what alleyways look like between these buildings and how you can then go about it and create a table that works like that. So that's really cool.
Someone in my live earlier today was asking about could this be played on like an urban like an urban, like streets and tunnels inside a hill, like inside a building type thing, and without having to change the rules a lot. Like again, you can play games like 40K and stuff in a building, but it doesn't quite, it never quite feels right.
Yep.
Which is why they came out with completely different rule sets to do that kind of things, like Necromunda and Kill Team and that kind of stuff.
Sure.
And I think one of the things that we did a real good job with, if I may pat us on the back,
I think that
yep. the rule set is because it's based on a model by model basis. It's based off of your actions, what you can see, what you can do, and the scenario that you're playing. You don't have to worry about, is this tunnel big enough for my Rhino APC to drive down? Is this, if I've got seven scouts, is there gonna be a building or a room in this building I've created that they can all actually fit with the enemy?
Yeah.
Because everybody's individual. If there's a small room that I want to hide one of my guys in, I'm just gonna put that one dude in there, and he's gonna hold up that spot.
Yep.
Trencher Dave might find that janitor's closet and live through the battle.
I hope he does. He's my favorite.
Trencher Dave has become kind of the unofficial mascot. Like he's that plucky guy that came out of the trench and tried to do his damnedest.
Yeah,
didn't quite make it, but. But yeah, like I think that the rule set lends to that, and I would love I would love to see a cut the top off of a Mercury tunnel complex. Yes, we don't have a ceiling on this because we need to be able to move our models around, but like imagine that these are all tunnels,
right?
And I would love that. That would be rad. Put like a big like fan, like an atmospheric fan complex thing in the middle where they like a bunch of the tunnels lead to.
Yep.
If we only knew somebody who was really good at terrain tables.
I don't know.
There
are people out there. I know. I've seen they do good work.
I've heard that there's books that actually help you learn those skills too.
Books, you say?
Yeah, it's weird. It's crazy.
Awesome. Yeah. Definitely pick up a copy of Terrain Essentials. You can get it in the US from ironheartartisans.com. Go there now. PDF and physical books available. But enough of that. Fantastic. Awesome. So is that still coming from me?
Yeah, I think it's you, Dave.
Yeah, that's weird. Strange.
I'm actually not hearing anything, so it might be from me.
It might be. I don't know.
I doubt it. My microphone is expensive. I've heard that's a thing.
Mine was not cheap either. But anyway, fantastic. So cool. I was going to say thank you very much, guys, for talking us through all those awesome miniature shots, through the decisions that you've made over the last 12 months, the things that you've got going on, and the cool Kickstarter. We're super excited to see that it's funded. Yay!
Yeah. Hey, Brian, one last thing before we let you guys go.
Well,
could you?
I was going to say we're not going to let him go just yet because we've got to go through. We've got everybody else's hobby has been super active this week, so we've got
Sure.
a bunch of photos to look at, and we'd love for you guys to check those out too.
Yeah.
But
I was going to ask Brian could you, just for people who haven't played it before or didn't get a chance, could you just walk people through what the sequence of play is like for one turn? Like what does the sequence of play look like?
Oh, it's easy. So you roll your initiative. So Warzone collectively is Warzone Eternal is a D20 base game. You will never roll another kind of die. And anytime that you are rolling that die, you want it to be low. One is awesome, 20 is not so awesome. That if you're the one rolling it, you want low numbers. And the equation to do those sorts of things might change based off of what you're rolling for, but the overall rule is if I'm rolling a die, I want a low number. And that includes rolling initiative, which is how you start every turn. You start the turn by rolling initiative. Lower roller goes ahead and picks a model that is going to activate. When a model activates, they get an activation token, bloop, which I don't have. Normally I've got them here for to show off, but I don't have any. you put an activation token next to the model to point to show that he's the one that, or, they're the one that's going and doing their thing.
Or on the card. Or on the card.
Or on the card if you don't want to clutter your board up. Yeah. You do a model gets 2 actions, and then a special little phantom action called a reposition that can happen before or after any other action. And an action can be anything. It can be move, shoot, whatever. If you're in a really good spot, you can just sit there and just keep plugging away. Let's say that you're already stuck in close combat. Maybe your actions are stab, or oh dear God, this Nephirite has a chainsaw the size of a small animal. I'm going to disengage and get the hell away. There are things you can do with your actions, but it's generally do a thing, costs you an action. Reposition doesn't cost you an action, but you only get to do it once per turn, before or after any other action, and it is a 2-inch little kind of mini move that allows you to kind of do that like Gears of War baseball slide into terrain, or hunker up, you duck in and out of cover from around the thing, as long as you end that little reposition touching some kind of cover, some kind of terrain. It's a valid reposition. You don't just get to reposition and like run out in the open and go, I got 2 inches of extra movement. It doesn't work that way.
Okay.
I guess in theory you could use it to like jump out into a swamp if it was a terrain piece, but that probably wouldn't go very well for you because you just jumped out into a swamp in the open and you're going to get shot.
Yeah.
During your activation, so everybody gets their activation, and then it goes back and forth. If that was the only thing that would happen, is I would take my actions, you would move a model, we would go back and forth. But there's more. There is reactions. Every model can also get a reaction token, and these are a little more specific as to what you can do with them. Whereas an action token, or the activation token, just says, I get to do stuff. The reaction token has to kind of be triggered. You don't just get to throw it on a model for no reason. The 3 main ways to use... There are other ways, but the 3 main ways to use your reaction token is... The first one is if I am targeted by a shot. There's a shot coming in at me. I can choose to dive for cover. I just throw a reaction token on my guy, and I get +2 armor. It just makes me a little more survivable. That's the absolute simplest thing to do. You just go... I'm not as hard. I'm not as easy to kill. If you didn't want to do that, you could wait and see what happens with the attack, and if you survive, whether they missed or whether you got hit and it didn't kill you or anything like that, you can then spend your reaction to counterattack against that person, against whoever just either shot at you or swung a sword at you or whatnot. And that's, if there's any fans of the older versions of Warzone, there were a lot of times where models in close combat, they would do a lot of ting 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 back and forth in the same action, and it was a little, I don't want to say tiresome, but it meant that like you very rarely had people that would stay in close combat. More often than not, somebody would get murdered, or they'd swing enough times that the other guy is then done for. Counterattack can be used. If I've got a guy in close combat and I haven't spent my reaction, you swing at me and I live, I can counterattack. I can try and stab you. I can try and and depending on who I am, that might be a deterrent for you to get into close combat. I go charge that monster dude and be like, I'm gonna take him down, and if it doesn't work out for you, then I spend my reaction, I counterattack, and I drive you to the ground like a nail. In some instances, we'll just say. But it also works with gunfire. So if someone takes that shot and either it misses or it hits me and it doesn't hurt me, I can spend that reaction to go ahead, and if I've got a weapon that has the range to reach you and so forth, I can take that shot back. That's the 2 probably most common ways you're going to see things used. The third one is the most tactical use of a reaction, that during your opponent's turn, while they're moving their model around, you can spend not only a reaction token, but also your model's action for the turn. So you basically have to put both tokens on the model at the same time, and you can ambush them. You can basically interrupt their current movement. You can stop them doing what they're doing and go, I'm gonna take a shot at you. You're crossing that alleyway. I want to take a shot. And where the strategy gamble on that is that by doing an ambush, I'm only getting that one attack for both my reaction and my action. Whereas if I were to wait till it was my turn and do a regular action, I could possibly shoot you twice. And then maybe even if you were unlucky and shot me earlier, I could maybe shoot you back a third time with a counterattack. So that's kind of where the tactical aspect of paying attention to your surroundings, figuring out what your opponent's going to do, and sometimes maybe don't pull the trigger. You know, if there's just an undead legionnaire that's crossing the street, maybe I don't care so much about taking the shot if I know standing right behind him is the centurion. And then I make that choice to not ambush him, to not spend that point, and then suddenly the centurion goes, I'm going the other way, and that was my gamble. That's what I made. I won't say made the mistake, but I chose to do that gamble. And then you basically go back and forth until all models have their activation token. You'll note that I didn't say that their reaction token. There will be lots of times where you will have models that don't get a chance to react. Either no one was in their line of fire, no one shot at them. There will be instances where you'll have somebody standing out in the open, and you're like, "Oh, shoot me, because I want to shoot you back. Please, I want to shoot you back." And then they go, "It's not worth it. I'm not taking that shot." And so that's where kind of the strategy of the game comes back and forth. But then once every model has an activation token, it gets to the end of the turn. You check whether or not the scenario goals have been met. If either side has won the game. If not, you clear off all of the pinned tokens, the action and reaction tokens, and you go into the next turn.
Cool. Awesome. Thanks for that. That's very cool.
Brian.
And just to follow up on that, Cascadian has just joined us, and I realized that we hadn't. A very, very good question. A recap of what the future holds for Warzone Eternal.
War. Lots of it.
So I'm going to throw this to Alex.
Yeah, so if we're talking about just within the context of the Kickstarter, then yeah, it's to recap, unlocking unit boxes for each of the 3 unit types that are in the starter box. So ultimately, right, each of the 7 factions will have a starter box, and then 3 unit boxes that you could choose to build your forces out of. After fulfillment, right, we obviously, the intention is to continue moving and jump into Wave 2. We've already started working on some of the models for Wave 2, with the presumption that this Kickstarter was going to fund, it was going to be successful, and that we were going to be able to keep moving. And so Wave 2, we're not going to state exactly which models we're going to produce, but Wave 2 will be another unit of some sort for all 7 of these first factions. There's obviously 4 more Dark Apostles that we could get to. There's the Cartel. There are the Tribes of Earth. All of those things are on a calendar that Brian, I think, has got penciled out. I keep telling him not to use permanent ink, but we're But the intent, right, is to continue working through and eventually covering all of the unit types that existed, for the most part, in Classic Warzone or the 2nd edition Mutant Chronicles role-playing game and its various expansion books. Once we get to that point, if we get to that point, I mean, that's a massive number of figures.
Yeah.
Then we start figuring out, how we expand, how Res Nova's version of the game expands the universe.
Cool. Awesome. That's very cool. Thank you very much. So, Alex and Bryan, what we usually do at towards the end of the show is we run through some minis that people have been working on that posted in the Build Paint Play Facebook group. So if you guys are cool, we'll jump into that, have a run through. We've got quite a chunk. People have been super active, so we'll be nice and swift with each of them. First up, from Andre Kieran, we have He-Man from one of the new He-Man games. I'm not sure which one. I'm not sure. Did you recognize which one it was?
That is from the CMON one, I believe.
CMON? Cool. So Simon and Protoss Games did the other. Did Protoss Games did the other one? Not Protoss, Archon. My bad.
Archon. Yeah.
But no, fantastic work there. Andre's looking like he does have the power.
Yep, definitely.
Next up, Ben Fail. It's we're lucky that Jake isn't on screen at the moment. The size of that yawn. But pardon me. But now we have
now
Ben's.
it doesn't matter that I wasn't on screen.
Yeah, we got Ben's Angron that he's been working on.
He looks great.
Looks super cool.
He's in the case next to Duncan's Archeon. He looks really good.
Very cool.
That is a Primarch worth the Pickle Baron's attention.
Yeah, 100%.
Awesome. Nice work there, Ben. Next up, we've got a piece from Bing Lee. This is a wonderful Malifaux piece for you, Brian. Sorry, not Brian, Jake.
Sure.
But it's a crazy chicken-legged cauldron. I have no idea which faction this is for.
Yeah, no idea.
But yeah, Bing said it was a very interesting model to paint.
Pretty rad.
There's a lot of craziness going on there. But looking good there, Bing. Excellent. With all of the Inquisition stuff that's been flying around, a friend of mine and former clubmate, Bob Weiss, posted this picture of his Inquisitor. I think it's... Oh, was it Inquisitor Torquemada?
Yep.
With the double-headed eagle.
Is that might be Kotiaz?
Kotiaz, my bad. Yep. Kotiaz, looking super cool there. But awesome job on that, Bob. That's one he worked on a little while ago, but wanted to bring it out of retirement. Next up, we have... Oh, sorry, I switched too early. There we go. Chris Weinstein painted up some Steel Rift mechs. Great collection of lovely burgundy and blue bases.
Yeah, those are great. I love that.
Those are great figures.
Yep. Oh, there we go, Dan. Dan's correcting me in the chat. You're both right. His name is Torquemada Kotiaz. There we go. But no, fantastic looking Steel Rift minis there, Chris. Looking great. Next up, Daria Winter. Daria's been painting up some Clan War minis. And she's getting them out on the table, using them in Frostgrave, I think, for the moment, until she's got a few more painted up. But these are looking really nice. I'm always a big fan of an orange-blue combo scheme.
Yeah.
And these are looking great. Excellent work there,
Oh, I
Daria.
love the samurai guy with the Tetsubo. I like him.
Yeah.
What's that? That red and that the blue-green, kind of that JD green on Tetsubo. It's looking awesome. Lovely work. Next up, we've got some minis from Dave Powell's. This is his sort of scum and villainy collection that he's painting up for a game of Rogue Stars.
Nice.
We've got, is it Cad Bane?
Yeah, Cad Bane. Off to the left is a Mandalorian Enforcer.
Yep.
And then I don't know what those other two models are.
One of them's a Twi'lek, I think.
Yeah, there's a Twi'lek bounty hunter, and then the guy in the back is from the Black Sun.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool. But yeah, beautiful work there. And I think the walls there are from the Death Ray Designs vault setting.
That looks right. Oh no, Dan just corrected me. Thank you, Dan. He's a pike. He's one of the pike gangers.
Oh, Pike Syndicate dudes.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Thank you, Dan.
Eric Solvey has been printing out some painting handles, which I didn't know was the thing that you could do, but apparently you can. So now, next up, we want to see what you're painting that's going on those painting handles, Eric. Then we've got Jeff Smith has posted another figure. This is from the Judgment game. I'm not sure if you checked that out, Brian, at all.
I've seen some of Chris's Judgment, and I saw some people playing it at Adepticon. I was far too busy to stop and look, but they're pretty models.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're gorgeous.
Jeff's done a beautiful job here on this Etten. That's what you call the two-headed giant, right?
Correct.
Look at
That would be the D term, yes.
What's that?
That would be the D&D term,
term
yes.
for it. Excellent. Look at me learning things. All good. Next up, we've got Jim Mazzullo. Has been painting up loads and loads and loads of Blood and Plunder minis from Firelock Games. He said he's got 50 on the table there.
I have a friend of mine who's desperately trying to get me into that game, and I told him until they make Vikings, until I legitimately get a long ship full of Vikings, nothing. I'm not putting brush to model.
We'll have to talk to. I'll talk to Mike at Historicon and see what we can.
Oh
do.
yeah, I definitely want to hear that conversation. So Mike, listen, Brian said he'll play, but only if you make Vikings.
No, that's not the way to sell it. Fantastic, but no, looking great there, Jim. Next time is next model is Josh Potter. Josh has been painting up some 28mm scale mechs in preparation for his demo gaming he's going to be doing at Origins. So this one's looking kind of wild. That's a lot of rockets in those rocket pods. A frightening level. Not sure if everybody saw Brian's eyes widen there, but no. Fantastic there, Josh. Nice one.
I mean, it's only an LRM 36. It's not like it's.
What's that?
It's like an LRM 36.
Okay.
I was going to say that's probably a catapult with two MRM 30s, but you know, I was going to nerd out at you.
Please don't. No, it's absolutely fine. Next up, Justin Whitney is a buddy of mine from Australia. Posted these Fiends of Slanesh that he's working on. It's looking super cool. I'm loving the purple into the black claw there, Justin. Really nice.
The blue's a nice touch too. The little blue stones.
Yeah. Yep. It's a great little pop color there.
I love those models.
Yeah.
With their seahorse heads.
Yeah. Yep. They look fantastic. I love that.
Slanesh always speaks to me.
Yeah.
It's usually talking dirty though.
Yeah, I was to say, what does it say to you, Brian?
That's a different show. That's a different show.
It's a PG-13 show. I can't tell you what they say.
That's all behind the paywall. That's only.
Okay.
Patreon only. Patreon only.
Awesome. And next up, we've got a photo from Christian Simonson. He posted this. He was super excited by the reveals at Warhammer Fest this weekend. And so he's posted up some inquisitorial kit bashes he did 6 or so years ago. But
Nice.
yeah, some fantastic looking minis there.
I have the Redeemer somewhere. I gotta
Okay.
find him and paint.
Yeah.
I think I still have him, the old metal one from when we worked at GW. Like being able to go into the warehouse and be like, "Oh, metal bits!" Like I have the metal Redeemer somewhere.
Right. Okay. Nice.
I love the one that's got the wagon wheel on his back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just in case.
It's great. You don't need to roll. You have to carry. You have to suffer in the name of the Emperor. But no, it looks fantastic, Christian. Awesome work.
Awesome.
My buddy Mark Kaselniak has been painting up some wonderful Zinch demons. And these are looking cool. Speaking of, we were talking about horses before, where, you might have missed this one, Brian. I'm not sure if you were in the chat when we were talking about painting horses, but when you paint Zinch, and you've got to paint like a pink horror and a blue horror, and then the yellow horrors for every so it's two pink horrors, two blue horrors for every pink horror, and two yellow horrors for every blue horror.
Yeah, it's a pink turns into two blues, and then each blue turns into two brimstones.
Right, a brimstone. That's what they call them. Okay,
The brimstones are a relatively new thing.
What's that?
Yeah, the pink and blues have been around forever, but the brimstones are new. It was just to give them a little more punch. And like they get progressively worse. Like pink horrors are good, and then blue horrors are like okay, and then brimstone horrors are just annoying. They're just like little.
They chaff.
They're just looking to get murdered.
Excellent. But no, doing a great job here, Mark. They look awesome.
Yeah, that's
Super
great.
cool.
And was it the changeling in the background all being like, "Go get him!"
Yeah, run. Next up, we've got buddy Matt Weaver in Australia as well. He is painting up. Matt Weaver is the guy who worked on the Dark Age map, Brian.
Oh, okay.
Remember that? Yep.
I do remember. I've got one around here somewhere.
Yep.
Rolled up in a tube.
I had to check closely on that wall, the wall behind you, to see if it was one of those, but it's not.
No, those are from my D&D world.
Right. Cool. But yeah, Matt's working on this Eldar Wraith Knight. Latok.
I like that like swooping kind of camo pattern he's got.
Yeah. Yep. It's coming along really nicely. Matt's doing an awesome job there. Oh, goodness. Oh, yep. Okay. So Nesta Medina is painting this Battletech mini. I couldn't tell you what kind of Battletech mini it was, but I'm sure you guys all know.
Yeah, well, don't worry, we're on top of it. That's a dice show.
Dice show? Okay. Not a gun show?
It is a massive 100-ton clan mech.
100 ton. Oh my goodness. But it's looking super cool. Oh, we've got a Beta Galaxy Clan Wolf Direwolf.
Yeah, the Direwolf is the
class.
sort of the Intersphere name for it, but yeah.
That's what the Lowborns call it.
Okay.
As they scream in terror and run in fear from the traditional nobility that has taken over.
Okay, cool. Awesome. But no, looking great there, Nesta. Very cool. Next up, Patrick Keith, the Bombshell Minis. Is doing some painting work on his Edo Scuttler. So definitely worth checking out. Heading to Bombshell Minis and checking out the Edo aliens that super cool that Patrick's got on his the Bombshell site. But yeah, I'm loving that gold.
Yeah, his gold looks awesome.
Yeah, it's looking really nice and rich. Very cool. Nice one, Patrick. Next up,
What is that?
oh, sorry, we lost you there for a
What is
second.
that on? What is he?
Say again.
What is it? What is he painting? What is that? The gold.
So I think so the Edo are an alien race, and I think that's like they're fairly small aliens with tall heads. Sort of their necks go straight up, all the way up into the heads. So Brian, hopefully you can see my actions doing that, because I just realized you can't see it on screen. So let me.
I especially like how you said they have like long necks that go all the way up to their heads.
I
was like,
know
yeah,
that was particularly dumb of me, but basically it's tough to tell where the necks end and the heads start, and the heads start and the necks end. Anyway, but they're nice and tall. So I think this is basically it's like a vehicle for them, a small one-man vehicle. So in that disc that was in the middle there, that's where the Edo would sit, and then the scuttler claws.
Oh, okay.
Like that. Thank you. Any opportunity I have to go like that
Yeah,
on
I
camera
mean,
is super important. But yes, moving right along. Next up is my buddy Sam Gallagher, who was just recently at Warhammer Fest, and he entered his this super cool Pippin in Golden Demon, and I think he said he walked away with a finalist pin. This did a beautiful job there.
that's Pippin. What is it? Guardian of the Citadel.
I think it is. Yes, I think you were correct. And it looks just like Billy Boyd.
Yep, nailed it.
Yep, absolutely. Beautiful work there, Sam. And congrats on the final spin. I'm super jealous that you were there. Next up, unfortunately Scott had to go, but so he can't tell us about this awesome Goblin mini. But
the guy with the cannon on the other guy's back.
Yeah, yep. And
great.
the expansive belly that can't be covered by armor. But Scott's been painting a series of goblins in over the last few weeks, and this one just looks fantastic.
Yeah, I like this guy.
I love it. Absolutely awesome. So in the Facebook group, there are some more. Scott's done a specific post on this, so there are some more angles that you can check out. Looks super cool. Then Sean Gleason has been working on some Blood Bowl minis. So these are his work in progress. We've got some elves in there. There's a wonderful dwarf on the right-hand side there, holding the ball aloft. But, yep. Great work there, Sean.
Yeah, those
Excellent
are
to
great.
see. And then Zach Moore has been painting up some more Bushido. I think we saw Zach at Adepticon. He was working in the GCT Studios booth, talking to people about Bushido. And yeah, these minis look great as well. What is it about the Tetsubo that people love so much? Brian?
Who doesn't like a bat with studs on it?
A big studded bat?
I mean,
It's true. But they look fantastic there. Excellent work, Zach. Very nice. Very nice. So that is the that's it this week for miniatures from the Facebook group. So running through everything that we've got in the show notes down below, there is a link to the Warzone Eternal Kickstarter, which is funded already. First day, awesome work. So that's down there. You can go and check that out.
Now it's up to you to unlock the fun stuff.
Unlock the fun stuff, exactly. Well, I backed for the engagement level and added a book. So, faction starter and a book. So,
Thank you.
now I just have to work out
Appreciate
which
that.
faction starter I want to go for. I'm going back
You
and
got a
forth.
couple months.
Yeah, I'm just going back and forth. I'm not sure which one, but I'll work it out. So that's down there. There's also the link to my Kickstarter that's running at the moment, which is for the volumes 7, 8, and 9 of the Art of books. So Eric Swinson, Biani Dali, and Katarzyna Gorska are all in there. That one's funded too. And again, we're looking to knock down some more stretch goals. There is also a link to the Facebook group, so you can come along and join us and show your miniatures, show the minis off that you're working on, show the games that you're playing, all that sort of stuff. Join in the conversation there. And there's also a note there about the Cathy Wappel Support Fund. So if you check that out, there is an email address you can use to PayPal some funds to that if you are so inclined. We would really appreciate that. But that information's down there too. There's probably some other stuff as well, but that's enough for now.
Yeah, there's some notes from one of our editor, and like there's some cool like poetry that's in there somewhere. I'm sure there's all kinds of stuff down there.
Yep. Yeah, just keep scrolling. You'll find it. But so we've come to the end of tonight's show. Just want to say thank you to Alex and thank you to Brian for coming on and joining us, particularly on this incredibly auspicious day. Super excited
Yeah, no.
to be part
Appreciate you having you. Apparently your show was good luck.
of it. Right? Okay.
yeah. This was good, and who better to celebrate this with than company and old friends and old company, and everything's fabulous.
Fantastic. No, that's awesome. Congratulations, guys. Well done. Your hard work and the adaptations you made, the changes you made, and the presentation you've made is definitely paying dividends. So awesome stuff.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Dean says, "Thanks. Get some rest, guys."
Yeah.
You probably want to do that tonight after downing a bottle of champagne. You should probably do that. But no,
I have a question.
Oh yeah, different.
Did Dave say what faction he's gonna play?
This Dave?
Yeah.
He didn't. He just said he can't figure out which faction.
Can't figure out which faction.
Okay.
Brian rarely listens to the things I say, but no. I think I'm leaning either between Imperial or Bauhaus. I think.
Great.
That'd be probably my two.
Cool.
Well, we'll see. But yes. And Dan said Brian doesn't listen. We all know this.
Yeah. So, but the real question is, what faction is Dave going to play?
Mishima.
All right.
You heard it here first. Or second or third, who knows.
A little bit. It's confirmed.
Excellent. But no, thanks very much, guys. Okay, everybody, we are not sure exactly how we're going to run next week. I'm not available, but it might be Rick and Jake.
Yeah.
It might be.
And if not, we will take a week off.
Or we might take a break.
And then we'll return.
If it is Rick and Jake, next week they'll be talking about all the fun stuff that they saw at Gamma last week. So the Gamma trade show, which will be sweet. If the show isn't on the following week, Jake and I will talk about Gamma and Warhammer Fest. So keep an eye out for those. We will let you know very, very soon.
Yeah. We'll let you guys know in the next 24 hours or so.
Yeah, that'll be great. Okay, thank you very much, everybody. I've made sure I've got everything ready for the next stage, which is pressing the button. But
speaking of buttons,
yep.
Make sure anybody who's watching, make sure you guys give us a like and subscribe and click that bell that's down here somewhere.
Oh yeah, that thing too. We always forget about that.
Tune in to see us more often, and you know we're always trying to throw fun stuff at you. We got a bunch of cool guests lined up for the end of the year and for the end of the season, I should say, and then we have a couple ideas for next season as well. So
yep, looking forward to it. Awesome. So we're ready.
There's only one thing left to do. Don't forget to
build, paint,
play.
Shut up and sit down. Shut up and sit down.